Hey everyone, welcome to the show. Have you ever thought about what if there were things out there that we couldn't see? Like just lurking around, ready to take over our minds. Pretty chilling thought, right?
It really is, and you hit on something really primal there, that fear of losing control, not just of our bodies, but of who we are.
It's definitely unsettling, and that's exactly the kind of world we're diving into today. We're going to be exploring Rebecca Cantrell's thriller, It Wants Us Alive. So if you're into stories about otherworldly invasions and, humanity's fight against some pretty impossible odds, then make sure you hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives like this one.
You know what really struck me about Cantrell's writing?
Yeah.
It's not just about the jump scares and the quick thrills. She builds this incredible suspense by slowly peeling back layers of this terrifying truth. It's like a slow burn that just gets under your skin.
Yeah. It Wants Us Alive really throws us into the deep end with this idea of these parasitic entities called wisps. They slip between dimensions, they possess humans, and they just unleash pure chaos. And we're following the seekers, these individuals who have this unique, almost musical ability to detect and combat these wisps. By the way, you can find a link to the book down in the description if you want to check it out yourself. But get ready, because we're going to be diving into some pretty deep themes here, like the true cost of sacrifice, the nature of belief when faced with the unbelievable, and the terrifying possibility that there are hidden realities much closer than we think. So to kick things off, what exactly are these wisps that have turned this world upside down?
So the book introduces the wisps as these beings from another dimension, right? And their main thing is possessing humans. At first, it seems like they're drawn to our sensory experiences, almost like some kind of interdimensional tourism.
Yeah.
But things take a much darker turn pretty quickly.
Oh, darker how? I mean, it already sounds creepy enough as it is.
Well, as the story unfolds, especially through what happens to Nakamura in Mr. Bishop's last words, we start to realize that their motivations might be a lot more hostile than just sightseeing. There's this hint that they want to eliminate, to kill, and maybe even prevent any more crossings from their dimension to ours.
Wow, that changes things. It's not just about experiencing our world anymore. It's like they have an agenda, a violent one. How do they even get inside people? Does the book tell us anything about that?
Well, that's one of the unsettling things. There's no regular forensic evidence. After Liam's death, the investigators can't find anything that doesn't belong to either him or the protagonist. It's as if they possessed people without leaving any biological trace. Makes you think about what it really means to be invaded, right?
Yeah, definitely bypassing our normal defenses in a really fundamental way. And the consequences of this possession are pretty brutal, right? The book doesn't shy away from showing us the impact.
Not at all. We see the immediate and horrific results in Liam's case, and then the massacre at the mountain base. And the suffering of the people who were possessed, it's agonizing. It's not like a subtle infiltration either. They leave a trail of violence and despair. It really drives home the stakes.
It's a terrifying picture for sure. So against this onslaught, we have the seekers. Who are these individuals who are stepping up to fight this seemingly impossible battle? What makes them different?
In this bleak scenario, the seekers represent a glimmer of hope. The protagonist, for instance, has a very specific sensitivity to the wisps. Her scar, a seemingly normal mark, actually acts like an extra sense, allowing her to detect the presence of wisps as a distinct form of music.
Music, that's a really interesting detail. So her scar lets her hear them. Is it like a constant soundtrack she can't turn off?
In a way, yes. It's this constant awareness, a warning system, and her main method of confronting them is equally unusual. A lyre which she uses to draw the wisps out of their human hosts.
A lyre. That's not your typical weapon in a thriller. What's so special about the music? Is it some ancient holy melody that repels them?
Well, the book suggests it's not necessarily the holiness of the music that affects the wisps. Different types of music, even ordinary melodies, can lure them out. We don't really get a full explanation of how it works, which adds to the mystery. It makes you wonder about the fundamental connection these beings have to sound itself. It's another layer of the puzzle.
So it's the sound itself that's the lure, not necessarily the tune. That's a really interesting concept. Once they're drawn out by this sonic fishing line, what happens then?
Once a wisp is out in the open, the seekers use nets to capture them. Although the book mentions that some wisps just dissipate on their own. It's not a foolproof method, which highlights how elusive and dangerous these things are.
I bet. Getting close enough to net something that can possess you sounds pretty risky. What kind of dangers do the seekers face?
The most obvious and terrifying risk is possession. Being so close to these entities makes them prime targets. They need incredible mental strength and constant vigilance. It's a job where one slip-up could be fatal not just for the seeker, but for everyone around them.
It's courage on the edge of disaster. Now, the book also mentions an organization called the Order. Who are they? Are they working with the Seekers, or are they something else entirely?
The Order is presented as this established organization dedicated to containing and eliminating the wisps. They're the official response to this crisis, with protocols, training facilities, and presumably a lot of resources dedicated to fighting these entities. In theory, they should be a powerful ally to the Seekers.
But the incident at the mountain base that suggests they're not as effective as they think they are, what happened there?
That's a crucial point. The story really shows the limitations and even the failures of the Order. Their initial understanding of the wisps is incomplete, and we see that their protocols and security measures are just not enough against the evolving threat. This is especially clear with the breach at their supposedly impenetrable mountain base. It makes you question if any organization can truly contain something so fundamentally unknown.
It sounds like they're clinging to outdated ideas in the face of a rapidly changing and terrifying reality. Who are some of the key figures within the Order?
There are several members who play crucial roles. Fernsby initially appears as a leader, someone in control, but his actions later reveal a more complicated and perhaps self-serving agenda. Then there's the Hellstalker team folks like Chen Vile, Okoye Nakamura, Elton Costa, and Torsen. Each of them brings their own skills and personalities to the fight. They're the ones on the front lines facing the immediate danger.
The Hellstalkers, the name itself hints at the grim nature of their work. What about their training? The book mentions a specific facility, right?
Right. There's this training facility hidden deep inside a mountain. This isolated location is designed to contain any escaped wisps during training or research. It's meant to be a secure environment, which makes the events at the main base even more alarming. It really shatters the illusion of control.
A mountain fortress compromise that really emphasizes the sheer scale and power of the threat. Now shifting gears to something even more unsettling, the outline mentions an apocalyptic cult. In a world already dealing with dimensional parasites, what role do they play?
The story introduces Ezekiel and Aziel, who lead this cult with a truly strange and dangerous belief system. They believe that the wisps are angels brought into our world through their prayers.
Angels, that's a unique way to see a parasitic entity. What's driving this belief? What are they hoping to achieve?
Their goal is to trigger a mass rapture to open the gates of heaven for their followers. They see the wisps as divine facilitators of their ascension, not as agents of destruction. It's a dangerous mix of faith and delusion.
So instead of fighting the wisps, they're welcoming them, praying for more of these dangerous beings to enter our world. That's a dangerous ideology.
Exactly. They pose a serious threat because they're actively trying to bring more wisps into our reality. The book even describes their vision of the afterlife, a peaceful forest bathed in gray light with a flowing river. Quite a contrast to the chaos the wisps actually bring.
A very different picture for sure. And Aziel seems to be a particularly manipulative figure within this cult, right? It's not just blind faith at play here.
No, it seems Aziel has his own agenda. He works against the Seekers, setting a trap that leads the protagonist and even Ezekiel himself into a hidden chamber. It shows the potential for manipulation and hidden motives, even within a group driven by religious fervor.
So we have this multi-layered conflict. The wisps themselves, the Seekers fighting them, the possibly compromised order, and now a cult actively helping the enemy. It's a powder keg of conflicting agendas. Let's talk about some of the key events that really drive the story forward.
The initial attack and Liam's death, that's the catalyst that pulls the protagonist back into this dangerous world. It's a personal tragedy that fuels her determination and sets the whole story in motion.
And that immediately puts her in the crosshairs of the FBI, right? They're not exactly equipped to handle interdimensional parasites.
Exactly. The FBI investigation shows how difficult it is for the Seekers to operate in a world that doesn't even acknowledge the existence of the wisps. The Order's secrecy and the lack of any conventional evidence make the protagonist a suspect in a crime that seems impossible.
Then there's the mission to the mountain base. That's where the true horror of the situation becomes clear.
It is. Finding the massacre at the base reveals just how far the wisp incursion has gone and how the Order's defenses have completely failed. It's a moment of shock and horror, and it underscores just how much they've underestimated the enemy.
And within that carnage, they encounter possessed individuals, some of whom they knew, like Torsen and even Nakamura. Those must have been some incredibly difficult and emotional confrontations.
Those encounters really highlight the human cost of this invasion. The Seekers have to confront people they knew and trusted, who are now twisted and controlled by these alien entities. It leads to impossible choices and heartbreaking sacrifices. Nakamura's possession is particularly significant because it shows that the Wisps can learn and adapt, making them an even greater threat.
Then there's the encounter with the cultists and the mysterious Mr. Bishop. What crucial information do we get from that interaction?
The encounter with the cult gives us a chilling look into their beliefs and their role in summoning more Wisps. But the real revelation comes from Mr. Bishop. His ability to fight off possession for so long and his dying message that the Wisps don't actually want to be in our dimension, that changes everything. It challenges everything the Order and the Seekers thought they knew.
Fernsby's betrayal, his attempt to call an airstrike on his own people, that really shows the desperation and the fracturing within the Order itself.
Fernsby's actions reveal a terrifying level of desperation. He's willing to sacrifice anything and anyone, even his own team, to contain the threat as he sees it. It raises serious questions about leadership and the price of survival.
And the protagonist falling into the hidden chamber with Ezekiel, that must have been a terrifying experience, trapped to someone who is, in his own way, a dangerous antagonist.
That descent into the unknown forces this tense and unlikely alliance. It's in this confined space that the protagonist has her most profound interaction with the Wisps. She sees their true nature in their own dimension through this mysterious golden bridge.
That sounds like a major aha moment, the key to understanding everything. What does she learn during this otherworldly encounter?
Through this direct experience, she realizes that the Wisps aren't invaders trying to conquer our world, but beings desperately trying to get back to their own dimension. Her actions, essentially turning herself into a bridge, allow them to leave. It completely changes the narrative. This insight that maybe they were fighting something that just wanted to go home is incredibly powerful.
So the entire war against the Wisps might have been based on a misunderstanding. That's a huge twist. And her actions lead to the Wisps leaving our world.
Yes. The protagonist's empathy and her willingness to see past the initial fear lead to the Wisps leaving our dimension. It seems to resolve the immediate crisis. It's a powerful message about the importance of understanding and questioning assumptions.
What happens after all of this? How does this experience change the protagonist and maybe even the world?
The protagonist's perspective is forever changed. She now understands the Wisp's true desires and the tragic irony of the conflict. This new understanding could lead to a more nuanced approach to any future encounters if there are any. On a personal level, we see the green tinge in her scar disappear after the portal closes. It symbolizes a profound shift in her connection to the Wisps and perhaps the healing of a deep wound.
So many intriguing details and moments that really make you think. The outline highlights several key moments, like the evolving understanding of the Wisp's motivations. It wasn't invasion, but a desperate desire to go home.
Exactly. It makes us think about our initial reactions to the unknown and how our fears can lead us to misinterpret things.
And Nakamura becoming a potential seeker after fighting off possession that suggests a resilience we might not have expected.
It shows that the line between victim and protector isn't always clear, and that even in the face of immense darkness, the human spirit can find strength.
And Mr. Bishop's final message completely changing our understanding of the situation.
It highlights the danger of assumptions and the importance of staying open to new information even when it challenges our beliefs.
The unexpected connection between music and the Wisps, it's more than just a tool. It's like a form of communication, a shared language.
Absolutely. It hints at fundamental differences in how they perceive reality, suggesting that there might be other ways to connect besides our senses.
And that glimpse into the Wisps' dimension, not a monstrous realm, but a place they longed to return to. It humanizes them in a way the Order never could.
It emphasizes that maybe our differences aren't as insurmountable as they seem, and that shared desires can bridge even the most profound divides.
And the protagonist becoming a bridge, a selfless act of empathy that saves both worlds. It underscores the power of understanding over brute force.
It really does. It suggests that empathy and connection can be far more powerful than aggression and fear.
And that green tinge in her scar, vanishing, a symbol of healing and closure. This has been a truly thought-provoking deep dive into It Wants Us Alive. Thank you for joining me on this journey.
It was my pleasure. It's a story that stays with you long after you finished it, making you think about the unseen forces that might be shaping our world.
Absolutely. Now we want to hear from you, our listeners. What was your favorite moment from this exploration? What surprised you the most about the Wisps, the Seekers, or the twists and turns of the story? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's keep this conversation going and unpack even more of the book's themes and plot together.
Your insights and interpretations really add to the discussion, so please share what resonated with you.
And to leave you with a final thought, what if there are unseen forces at play in our world all the time? And what if our understanding of reality is far more limited than we think? What other hidden battles might be raging around us just beyond our perception? Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll catch you on the next one.
Until then.
See ya.